Hi, and welcome to Behind the Boardroom, a podcast series from Botree Software, where we dive into stories of brands and their digital transformation journeys. When we think of brands that are a part of almost every household, names like Parachute, Saffola, and Livon comes to one's mind. And these are just some of the iconic products Marico has brought into millions of homes. With a strong legacy and a growing portfolio, Marico has set the bar high for innovation and excellence in the FMCG space. Today, we are really excited to have Vrijesh Nagathan, the CIDTO at Marico, with us. Vrijesh has been leading Marico's digital transformation efforts using innovation and technology to keep the company ahead in a fast-changing world. In this episode, Vrijesh will talk about his journey, how Marico is tackling new challenges, and the role of technology in shaping the future of FMCG. So let's get started. Hi, Vrijesh. Welcome to Behind the Boardroom. It's great to have you here.
Thanks, Radhika. Pleasure.
All right. So let's start by talking about your journey at Marico. Right, you've had like an incredible run as the CIDTO. So looking back, what are some of the milestones that stand out for you? And what are some of the moments that felt like a turning point in your role?
I think in a few months, I'll be completing 3 years. So it's been like just yesterday. I don't realize when the 3 years just passed by. But having said that, it's been very eventful. It's been something which has been filled with a lot of excitement and significant milestones. I think one of the significant area that I took up immediately after joining was on the customer side or the distributor management side of it. So while there were contemplations going on in terms of, okay, what do we do with our secondary sales system and how do we go about modernizing it? The nudge or the push needed to kind of make the overall cloud DMS happen with CSNG was a bold call that we undertook. And even though the pilot was a little bit, it was having teething issues, but we were able to kind of overcome those. And in a matter of something short of a year, we were live with nearly, I would say, 1100 odd distributors all put together. So that I think was one of the first significant milestones that we achieved. Similarly, on the particular, I would say, marketing side also, we've kind of had initiatives that we did. And on the ERP side also, we've now recently gone live with S4. So quite a few of these are close to my heart, but nothing stands out as much as the ones which are around our secondary sales ecosystem.
Wow, and I still remember, right? You had come over to the Botree office to, celebrate the
Yes.
CSNG migration, the successful, efforts that both the teams had put together.
Yeah.
All right. So now, as I mentioned earlier, right, Marico's brands like Parachute and Saffola are some of the household names. Can you share some of the, lesser known brands in Marico's portfolio, but they are yet, making a mark in the market?
So if you look at it, Radhika, Marico has got a host of marquee brands which are there. The Parachute, Saffola are the ones which stand out, and it is something where they kind of resonate so much with consumers, and the consumers have gone on to trust them for decades now. Similarly, we also have brands in our value-added hair care around hair and care, and then we've got basically Nihar, right? And when you look at the entire Saffola under the foods part of it, we've got oodles which is there. We've got the oats part of it. Not just the masala oats in which we are the market leader, but even the plain oats also we've become the market leader now. if you look at the acquisitions that we have done, which is basically about Beardo, which Just Herbs, and then recently we've acquired Plix in the nutraceuticals. So I can go on and on. So basically, Marico as a complete house of brands is something which is filled with a lot of fun, excitement, and promise.
Wow, that's really nice to hear, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the FMCG landscape is ever evolving, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, what are some of the opportunities that you see and those
Mm-hmm.
big shifts in the
Mm-hmm.
FMCG landscape? And,
Mm-hmm.
how is Marico actually leveraging this
Mm-hmm.
opportunity?
So if you look at it, basically the overall um, consumer itself is getting a lot of empowerment through, let's say, the digitization of the consumer also, which is to say that today a lot of commerce happens on the mobile. Social media is a great enabler. So to that extent, Marico has adopted the overall, I would say, digitization journey to co-opt it and make it an ally by getting into the overall DTC space, acquiring DTC organizations that I talked about, let's say Beardo, let's say Just Herbs or Plex, True
Mm.
Elements. So all of these are the particular plays which we are having in terms of how the landscape is evolving. Our ability to also kind of pivot around the channels which are there. Basically, traditionally, we've always worked with GT. Then there was MT, then there was
Mm.
ecom, and now we are seeing the QCom also come into play. So we've been able to partner equally well with all of them and grow with all of them, and make sure that we partner with them really well.
And when it comes to businesses, right? Every business, they have a specific sales process and workflow that works, for
Mhm.
them. So,
Mhm.
how important is it that for businesses to have a tech solution that fits for their
Mhm.
needs rather than
Mhm.
using a standard solution? And how
Mhm.
has this worked for Marico?
Mhm. So look, the whole point is to very clearly articulate the business processes, how you would want to conduct your business, right? Every business is unique in its own way. But having said that, there will be certain amount of processes where they are quite generic in nature, and because they are generic in nature and they are complex also, you would want to kind of, how do you say, look at what is standardly available, what has already been innovated, and what is available to you off the shelf, and where you don't have to kind of take the onus of running a very cumbersome kind of a operation yourself. So that's exactly where partners like Botree come in with the particular DMS kind of a solutions, which are fairly standard but even are still customizable to the last nuance that you would want. So that is one way of looking at it. But look at the other point in terms of, let's say, there's a very unique process that we might have. Let's say if we talk about our own, uh, key commodity sourcing that we would have. Some of the commodities where we would be the largest player in the market. The way we go about, how do you say, sourcing those things would be very unique to us. Now, in those particular aspects, we believe that we would want to kind of build those solutions, keep them close to our particular competitive advantage, and then make sure that we kind of improvise on them as we go forward. So it's a mix and match. We have to be judicious about how we do it.
Now, in all technology, and I we have to definitely talk about AI/ML here, right? Because
Mhm.
that's reshaping the landscape of sales and distribution. So
Mhm.
from your experience, how is AI, how can AI be implemented in sales
Mhm.
planning and demand forecasting?
So if you look at it, basically, we have quite a bit of, I would say, AI and ML development being done in house as well. So one of the fundamental aspects what you touched upon in terms of sales planning, demand forecasting, etc. We do have quite a bit of it being done in-house by ourselves. And also we try and use collaborations to kind of make sure that this particular aspect is right, or you get it right. So if we were to kind of take it to the next level, then we are also doing what is called as demand sensing, which is much more granular. And it's been quite encouraging in terms of how we are able to leverage our particular strengths on the AI and ML that we've built, and how it is kind of yielding fruits for us.
And when we talk about the consumer trends itself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how is Marico actually keeping up with this
Mm-hmm.
trend?
Okay. So quite an interesting question, I must say. But if you look at the overall way in which we approach, there have been those traditional channels of how to say, collecting market intelligence. So those have been the traditional ones which have been there. Now, in addition to that, we've also kind of tried to do trend spotting on all the social media and digital media which happens, in which we are able to spot trends in terms of, let's say, the products itself, which are trending in categories what we operate in. Not just that, but even keep track of the ingredients which are trending, because FMCG products have a lot of I would say differentiation based on the ingredients which are there, and also to some extent in terms of how they're kind of offered, how they are packaged. So all of these are something where we kind of keep a close watch. Be it social media, be it generic searches, all of those are factored in. And with that, we've been able to also reduce our turnaround time in terms of the market offerings that we bring basis these particular trends that we follow in the trend spotting way.
Okay. Now, when we look at, rural market is
Mm-hmm.
like a big, I think, focus area for all the FMCG brands now,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, do you think that, connecting with rural customers,
Mm-hmm.
consumers,
Mm-hmm.
on an emotional level helps
Mm-hmm.
build the brand loyalty? And
Mm-hmm.
how is Marico approaching this? And
Mm-hmm.
what's worked best for, Marico?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So look, rural market is again one of our major strengths that we have across our brand portfolios which are there. So because the promise of the product gets delivered with every single kind of a product that we place in consumers' hands, that particular emphasis on quality, that particular emphasis on value that we build in, has held us very strong in terms of what the consumer expects from our brands. So to that extent, this is something where we also have partnerships with our rural distribution network, our stockists who are there. So, and also the retailers in the rural area also is something where we pay a lot of attention to, and we make sure that the entire journey from our particular factories, warehouses to our distributors, stockist, the retailer, and the rural consumer is something which we map, which we make sure that the particular promise of the value delivery is lived up to.
Right. And now, when you look at the technology trends
Mm-hmm.
itself, so when you
Mm-hmm.
look ahead,
Mm-hmm.
what technology trends do you think will shape the future of FMCG industry?
Mm-hmm. Of course, the overall aspects in terms of the emphasis which is there on um cloud compute, machine learning, all of those things are definitely there. They are not going to go away. They are going to kind of build up even more. But in addition to that, what we've been hearing of late about Gen I think that holds a lot of promise. Be it on, let's say, the consumer or market facing side in terms of the content creation, or be it in terms of internally our ability to make sense of whatever data we would have which is non-numeric, How do you kind of utilize that to make sense of it? How do you improve people's productivity around those things? Are something which are going to make a big splash going forward, is how it appears to me. Of course, there would be also like stuff which will happen around better compute being made available, better, let's say, connectivity being made available. So all of these are going to play a big role as we go forward, is what I believe.
So, Vrijesh, I should ask you this, right? What
Mm-hmm.
advice would you give, the young technology professionals looking to make an
Mm-hmm.
impact in business transformation?
Mm-hmm.
So, what would that be?
Well, if I were to kind of look at a lot of people, including myself, who have covered some distance in this journey, uh, I would say it is something where you have to have a and mindset and not a or mindset. And what I mean by that is you have to be equally passionate about bringing in technology expertise as much as you have to be passionate about adding business value. And adding business value in any kind of function that you'd be partnering, or any kind of a business process that you'd be working on, be it supply chain, be it finance, be it sales, be it marketing. So you need to get under the skin of the process, get under the skin of a marketeer or a supply chain professional, understand those processes, exactly realize where value gets added and where it is still possible to optimize value better, right? As much as bringing in technology expertise, recognize those shifts in technology and architect how to deploy technology to make sure that the business processes are transformed. So that is how I would approach it. Now, this have to be learned step by step. There's no crash course that will kind of take you there. A lot of it will have to come in with a lot of grunt work. But like I said, it'll always have to have a and mindset and not a or mindset. You cannot be that I will be only a tech expert or I'll be only a business process, expert. It won't work like that.
That was well said, Vrijesh. I think yes, that's definitely, I think, a mindset that it's not just people in the FMCG should embrace, but I
Mm-hmm.
think across all the younger professionals
Mm-hmm.
have to embrace. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, the relationship or the engagement, the partnership that, Marico has with Botree Software goes,
Mm-hmm.
I think, 20 years, right? So,
Yep.
how has this actually, transformed from not just a, vendor customer
Mm-hmm.
engagement?
Mm-hmm.
How do you see that?
Yeah. So look, Radhika, even in my the organizations that I worked previously, I came across Botree's products, and then we used to work closely with Botree. But in Marico, I saw that 2 decades of partnership being so deep and being so kind of nurtured across all, I would say, levels of working, right from the most junior most person working to the senior most people in the organization. So everyone kind of knew what Botree was. And similar was the case on the Botree side also. So that, I think, speaks a lot in terms of what these two organizations have meant for each other. Having said that, it is something whenever there is a particular need that comes up in this area, I would say my first port of call would be to kind of pick up the phone and check with Keyur or anyone in Botree in terms of, hey, would you know how this is done, right? Similarly, we do have these catch-ups where even from Botree, and also they would want to kind of understand, okay, what's happening in the market, what do you think, where do you think the overall FMCG or even non-FMCG sectors are headed towards. So these particular kind of I would say exchanges which go beyond the routine, I think has really helped both, rather than just the transactional aspect of okay, here's my software, go run it, isn't it?
Yeah. And Marico and Botree have also co-created
Mm-hmm.
solutions, right? So what has your experience on the Botree suite of products itself been,
Mm-hmm.
and any metric or any significant impact that you can
Mm-hmm.
share for
Mm-hmm.
Marico?
Yeah. So, like I said, initially we started with the core stocky, which was the on-premise part of it, and then when there was the particular CSNG, which had come into offering, etc. Our ability to kind of partner with Botree and then make sure that we uh, iron out all the kinks in terms of what would work, what would not work. We did quite an elaborate kind of a pilots with 4 of our distributors, which ran for quite some time, but we were able to kind of iron them out. So that speaks a lot in terms of how Marico doesn't mind in terms of sticking with the partnership through thick and thin and making sure that the product is fit for use from all aspects, rather than say that, hey, look, this is not working, take it away. So to that extent, we remain invested in the journey and make sure that we kind of make it work together. Similarly, on the particular, I would say, the SFA side of it, which is to say that the mobile application which is there, what is to be used, a lot of it is getting co-created for Marico in terms of what we feel are the best practices which are there, and the level of partnership is such that even if we feel that okay, whatever is there that um, has a nuance, needs something where it's something where we would want to plug in from a different source, it is something where it is doable. So to that extent, that level of trust and that level of understanding which these organizations have is quite deep, and I'm so happy to kind of nurture this relationship and make it endure.
Wow, that's really nice to hear, Vrijesh. So I have to ask you this
Mm-hmm.
last question. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
on a scale of 0 to 10,
Mm-hmm.
10 being the highest, 0 being the
Mm-hmm.
lowest, how
Mm-hmm.
would you rate Botree?
Well, I would say it's definitely 9.5 plus. You might ask
Wow.
me why it is not a 10. I would say, being a business person, I would always want to explore that room for growth. So then that's why I would leave it at 9.5. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. Thank you so much,
Mm-hmm.
Vrijesh. And that brings us to the end of this episode of Behind the Boardroom. Thank you, Vrijesh, for joining us today and sharing such valuable insights. Thank you for taking the time to share your experience with us and our listeners.
Thanks, Radhika. I think it's been a very pleasant conversation, and always love to have these interactions with people from Botree. It's always how do you say enlightening to speak with friends from Botree. That's how I would say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you.
All right. And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to subscribe to Behind the Boardroom for more stories of transformation, innovation, and leadership from some of the most iconic brands. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired. See you soon.